Welcome to this video about my game played in the second round of the Schachbundesliga season in our match against Speyer. As Speyer is one of the relatively weaker teams, we were dreaming of getting a team point. I faced the young Azerbaijani GM Nijat Abasov. In the game, my opponent played the move c4, and I was mainly expecting other things, and I did not really prepare for the move c4, because my opponent also plays the moves e4 and d4, and as well knight f3 in the first move. So one takeaway that I already have is that it's going to be very hard for me to predict and prepare for the openings of my opponents, because they play just tons of different things. After c4, I went for my standard repertoire, which is knight f6, c5, and now the move d5. The idea of the move d5 is to transpose to some kind of Grünfeld lines. For instance, after c takes d, knight takes d5. If white now goes d4, then black can take on c3, bc3, g6. Let's say e4, bishop g7, bishop e3, and we are back in some Grünfeld main line. However, after knight takes d5, white has also some options to avoid the Grünfeld, like playing the move g3 or the move e4, or the move which he played, namely the move e3. I already played this line 3 times with black, at least 3 times, against strong grandmasters, and I managed to draw all of these games. So I was actually reasonably happy to see the move e3. But at the same time, I expected some preparation. So I now mainly went for the moves g6 here, and I think in one game I played e6. But yeah, in this game I wanted to do something different because I was expecting some preparation after e3. So I thought I would play something which he could not expect, namely the move knight c6. He replied with the move bishop b5. I took on c3, which is maybe another small inaccuracy by black. And after queen d7, he played the move d4, to which I replied e6. I saw this position and I thought maybe I'm slightly worse here, but I didn't think that I'm in some immediate danger or that white has something particularly direct. He played the move short castles, to which I replied bishop e7. And in this position, he suddenly started to think for a long time. Actually, I was only expecting the move e4 by white here, which after, let's say, castles, bishop e3, rook d8, would transpose back to some kind of Grünfeld positions, with the small difference that this bishop is on e7 rather than being on g7. But also the bishop of white is on b5, which might also not be the ideal square in this position. So I thought this position might be a little bit better for white, but it's definitely playable for black. Thus, I was actually quite happy with the outcome of the opening after bishop e7. However, now he surprised me with his next move, which was the move knight to d5. He played this move after more than half an hour thought, and during that time I had also the time to watch a few other games of the match, and it already dawned on me that it's not our day and we will definitely not get a match point, because some of my teammates also already had pretty bad positions. Moreover, when I came back and I saw the move knight e5, I was not too pleasantly surprised, because now it dawned on me that he will have some direct onslaught against the point c6. I pretty much have to castle in this position, to which he just replied by taking on c6 and playing the move queen to a4. Right now he's just hitting the pawn on c6, and it's not so easy for me to react to that. If I just defend this pawn by playing the move bishop b7, then white can go bishop a3, and say if I take here on c4, he will take back, followed by some rook to c1, rook to b1, and then he has a very good grip on the position, and this bishop looks really stupid on b7. So this kind of position is almost winning for white. Therefore, the simple move bishop b7 is not really a good idea after queen a4, and I also realized that my position needs some more desperate measures. Actually, the move which I played is again not the strongest move. The strongest move recommended by the engine is the very weird looking move a5, giving up the pawn on c6. So for instance, in a line after queen c6, rook a7, let's say takes, bishop a3, I can play the move f6, followed by, let's say, knight f3, bishop b7, and white is a pawn up, but I have some small counterplay for the pawn on the c file. Objectively, this position is also clearly better for white, but I think it would have been better than what I did in the game. In the game, after queen a4, I went for some tricks with the move bishop to d6. So if you want, you can pause the video and calculate the consequences if white takes with the queen on c6. Okay, I hope you found it. So white cannot take with the queen on c6 because then I have a forced way to win material, which is bishop takes e5. Now, if he takes on a8, I have this beautiful sequence of moves. Check on h2, followed by bishop b7. The queen can only run to a7, but now I have the move bishop takes g2. Check, he has to take back, and now I win his queen. Yeah, beautiful line, but after bishop d6, this is by no means forced, of course, to take on c6. He has several strong options in this position. He could play the move bishop a3, but he could also play the move which he played, which is the move f4. And apparently he saw all of this and also the following line already when he played the move knight to e5, when he spent so much time on this move. That's pretty impressive and pretty deep. Okay. So he played the move f4, and I thought, okay, that's not actually such a big problem. I can just take on d4. Again, the computer gives the move a5 with the idea of, again, giving up the pawn on c6 already. Okay, I went for cd4, followed by c5, and I thought this position might actually be okay for me, because after the move bishop a3, I can now take on d4. White now gets some tempo with the move rook to c1, hitting my queen. I have to go away. And after knight c6, I just played the move queen to d7. Yeah, so this position is apparently what he had already in mind when he played the move knight to e5. That's what he told me. And now he came up with a very strong move. So he now came up with the move rook f to d1, putting a lot of pressure along the d file. I was expecting the move bishop takes d6, after which, let's say in some line like this, things trade down and the game is going to peter out to a draw. I was expecting this line, but now he came up with this very strong move, rook f to d1. And this now puts a lot of pressure along the d file. The most obvious move now for me would have been to take on a3, which he replies by queen takes a3. And yeah, now I have to parry his threats. So if I play some careless move, let's say, just for illustration's sake, the move a6, then he can play knight e7 followed by knight g6 and he takes f8, and he's just winning. So I cannot play careless move here. I have to basically play the move bishop b7, because now if he plays knight e7, knight g6, then this rook on f8 is protected by the rook on a8. So after this, he could go for rook takes d4, have to go back to e8, knight e7 check, king h8, and rook c7. And in this position, I basically cannot even move anymore. So let's say after rook b8, he can just go h3 or some other move, and white is just much better. It's very hard for me to do anything. So instead of going for this position, which is also very bad for black, I went for something which is probably even worse. I went for the move e5, which now allows him to just win a pawn. He took, played queen takes a3, bishop b7, and rook takes d4. White is just a healthy pawn up here, and my rooks are still not really taking part in the game. And after queen e6, played knight e7 check, followed by rook c7. Right here, the most obvious move would be the move rook b8. Maybe again you can pause the video and you can think of the winning combination for white here. Okay, so hope you found it. It's rook takes b7, rook takes b7, knight to g6, and in case I go hg6, it's just a mate like this. And in case after knight g6 I go fg6, I can just play queen to f8, queen g8, and rook d8. Yeah, so I saw this, and after rook c7, I then of course did not play the move rook b8, which would just lose by force, but I went for the move queen to b6. Hitting the rook on c7, and he just replied by playing the move queen to c5. Yeah, now if I take on c5, the position still looks pretty desperate. The rook is going to come back to c7 at some point. So instead I wanted to give him the opportunity to take on b6 himself, and I played the move rook f to b8. Probably instead here it's the last chance to somehow at least do not lose immediately, which would have been the move queen b1 followed by the move queen b6. And yeah, the position is just much better for white. For instance, you could again just play a little move like a3, and I cannot do anything. I can again basically not move. What I did in the game was to play the move rook f to b8, and now he came up with a strong idea which I missed, which was to take on b6, followed by the very strong move knight to f5. And yeah, now he just threatens to go knight d6, knight f7, and there's not much I can do about it. So for instance, if I tried to take on a2, this would not work just because of rook takes b7 followed by back rank mate on d8. Thus in this position I played the move king g8, at least protecting the f7 pawn for the time being, to which he replied with a move rook to g4. Yeah, rook g4 threatens rook takes g7, and if I go g6 you can just go knight h6 check and collect everything. So the only option I had here was to go back to h8, but surprisingly this is also not so easy to counter for white, and he doesn't really want to take on g7 here, because then after bishop d5 I'm somehow back in the game because I can take on a2 next move, and even though white is of course still much better, maybe it's not as easy. So therefore after king h8 he just went back to d4, realizing that he has a much simpler win in the position after king to g8. Now he has a very simple way of winning, which is the move e6. I have to take on e6, he takes on g7, and goes for the move rook to d7. And now of course he's threatening to mate me. So let's say if I go rook to a2, he can just go rook gf7, king g8, check and mate. So I have to take the knight on e5. He took on h7, threatening rook h8 mate. I have to defend against this, but now he can just collect the bishop on b7, and he's 2 pawns up with a just completely winning rook endgame. I still decided to play on for a little bit, and I will show you the rest of the game in a bit quicker way. Just I took on b7, took on a2, and he just now has this completely winning endgame. maybe it's quite instructive to see his technique. So the first step right now for white is to liberate his king. Currently the king is cut off on the second rank, and the way to liberate the king is to bring the rook back first. So he played first the move king f1, and now just the maneuver rook b4, rook f4, and rook f2, forcing my rook to leave the second rank. Check, king e2, rook f4 check, and now his king is free. His king can now come to the third rank at some point, and he already slightly improved his position. And now the next goal that he has is to exchange one of the pawns against my pawn on f5 with then just a winning endgame. He played h4 here, followed by g3. And now his idea is just to go e4. So I have to prevent that, because after e4 he can just get an endgame with rook and g and h against just a rook, which is a simple win. So I played the move king e5, king f2, rook c1, and now he just played h5. Here the idea is that I cannot go rook h1 because of rook h4, and the resulting pawn endgame is lost because he has this move h6 here and he's just running to the queen. So after h5, I went king f6, and now he just wanted to trade down to another endgame with which he's 2 pawns up by just taking on f5. I didn't allow that, but this doesn't make really a big difference, because now after g4 he also managed to exchange my last pawn, and now the position is just lost. And yeah, I at least wanted to try to cut off his king on the f file, but he can now just run with the pawn e6, and it's impossible for me to stop this pawn. I played the move rook f8. Yeah, now he could already play e7 here immediately and bring the king to d7, which is winning, but instead he went for king g5. I played the move rook f1, e7, rook f2, and now the final small trick. If he were to promote to a queen, then I would have a draw in hand, because I now can give rook f5 check, and this is a stalemate. And in case he runs, I can just follow the king and give checks from the f file. However, basically any other move is winning in the position. He could also just under promote here, let's say to a rook, because then after rook f5, king g4, let's say this move, rook e7, check, king f7, takes, and h7 is also winning for white. But he didn't even want to calculate these lines, and he just went for the move rook to h4, now threatening to play rook e4 in the next move, and then the game is just over. I was already much worse out of the opening, and afterwards I didn't find the most tenacious defenses at some points, for instance by either giving up this pawn on c6 or at least going for this queen b1, queen b6 idea later on, and I therefore very deservedly lost the game. For the team, the match also didn't go according to plan. We lost 6-2 with 4 draws and 4 losses. So this match is really something that we should quickly forget, and hopefully we will do better in Hamburg in 2 weeks from now. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'm looking forward to the next Bundesliga weekend in Hamburg.